Yes, my dear ISC students, today we start a new chapter. These are my voice notes and they're going to be very helpful to you. We start fiscal policy. What exactly we mean by fiscal policy? What do we understand by the word fiscal? It means basket. So we all need to give something in the basket of the government, and government makes policies regarding that. Government intends to collect revenue from where? From the public, of course. So you and me, we are the public, and we need to give money to the government in the form of taxes. What does government do with this money? Government spends to build infrastructure, roads, dams, bridges. When we talk about economy, we mean the output of the nation. Output of the nation means the goods and services which a country is producing. So, these fiscal policies made by the government is a very important instrument of economic policy. If you are being provided a subsidy, no tax on certain areas, you would like to jump and start manufacturing. So, this is the reason why fiscal policy has become an important instrument of economic policy. You do not want people to produce certain items. You tax them at a very, very higher rate. This is the part of fiscal policy. You do not want to import certain items which might endanger the industries in India. You raise the import duty on those particular items. This is a part of fiscal policy, my friends. Keynes, a great economist, in the mid 30s laid emphasis on the interrelation between economic policy and fiscal policy. Keynes clearly brought out the importance of fiscal policy in influencing the level of economic activity in an economy. So, if the tax structures are formulated in certain way which gives a boost to a particular industry, the output of the nation would increase. That is the reason why, my dear friends, agriculture in India is not taxed. Fiscal policy is the subject of today's discussion. Are you all ready? I'm sure you are. Let's understand what we mean by public finance. When public authorities, who are the public authorities? Your local municipal corporation, all the local bodies such as municipal boards, district boards, or state board or national government. Now these public authorities, they perform functions. We call them as maintenance of law and order. If we say maintenance of law and order, what comes to your mind instantly? In my mind, I can see police officers. They are paid by the state government. From where does the state government get the money? So, the GST collection of the state is the revenue for the state. Expenditure part of the police officers are borne by the revenue collected by the state. The entire chapter is very easy, just we'll go slow and steady. Government needs large funds to meet the public expenditure because there are various types of functions a government needs to perform. Huge expenditures are borne by the government, but they need certain income. From where do they get the income? They get the income from the taxes. What are the taxes? Direct tax, indirect tax. There are a lot of areas where government collect fees, and government also issues bonds. They can collect the money from the people. So different sources of income constitute the revenue of the public authorities. Okay, so whenever you are giving fine, think that that money will be utilized for some good. But if you are giving money and no receipts are being given, that money would benefit only that particular officer. So today in this chapter, fiscal policy, what do we need to study, dear students? We need to study how government raises, because expenditures are rising. So government is also thinking always, how can I raise my revenue? They tax high amounts in cigarettes and alcohol. Dear students, are you aware that the sale of alcohol is primarily done by the state governments? Collect huge taxes and that acts as a revenue. Can we rightly say that government is encouraging people to consume alcohol? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Government is deriving huge revenue by the sale of alcohol. It is for us to understand that drinking alcohol is not good for our health. Government would say, we are charging high tax so that you people stop drinking alcohol, stop smoking. But these consumption, even after high rates of taxes, they are increasing day by day, which is leading to increase in revenue of the government. So, public finance is the study of revenue and expenditure of the government. We mean government at the center, we mean government at the state level, and also the local level, that means the district level. So public finance is the branch of knowledge which is concerned with the income and expenditure of public authorities. Also, what are the policies being formulated? So can we say fiscal policy consists of instruments of taxation, expenditure and public debt. Hence, fiscal operations, fiscal problems and fiscal policies are integral part of public finance. So public finance means fiscal operations, fiscal problems, fiscal policies. They are the integral part of public finance. So I hope we have clearly understood public finance. Now let's understand meaning and instruments of fiscal policy. Primarily, each government has various objectives of economic policy. Economy is about the output of the country. Output means production of goods and services. The policy of taxation might increase the output, or if a wrong policy is being formulated, the output of the country might get reduced. The government would always want more and more output of goods and services in the country. They need to create a balance. So this balance is all about making and defining good policies which are appreciated by the people of the country. Every year we have budgets. The budget is the discussion by the government after making the policies. Announcement. Now this year we are going to tax certain commodities at this rate. The income tax slab would be at this rate. Like during COVID, the government was forced to spend money on medical equipments. So, government would keep on spending money on areas of importance. But unfortunately, my friend, government should spend a lot of money on education. Unfortunately, government is not spending enough money, they're not making enough schools so that education can be achieved at a very minimal cost. Similarly, government is not spending a lot of money on medical facilities. Hence, we are forced to go to private hospitals and they are charging exorbitant money. So, it is the responsibility of the government to give us good medical facilities, good educational facilities. There are a lot of countries, if I would name Canada, where medical facilities is nearly free, education is nearly free. So just imagine the contrast between a lot of countries and our country. So all these policies, they would influence income, production, employment, and the level of economic activity. So I think now it's more clear to us that the policies, the fiscal policies which are made by the government, the policies would influence the income, influence on production, influence on employment. If more production can be done in the economy, of course, more people would get employed. If the tax structure is favorable, if the import duty is favoring me, if I am being able to produce and export, so the level of economic activity would increase. So the government would always want the level of economic activity to increase in the economy. For that, what does the government need to do? They need to make an effective and good fiscal policy. How can they do that? They can use various fiscal tools like taxation tool, like expenditure and public borrowings. So, what are the tools? Expenditure. Public expenditure is a tool. Public borrowing is a tool. Taxation is a very important tool. Using these tools in the right mix, they can create, who are they? They means the government of India, an effective and good fiscal policy. What would an effective and good fiscal policy do? They would influence the income. When we say influence the income, a good policy should increase the income. More income would lead to more demand of goods and services. More demand of goods and services would lead to more production. More production would lead to more employment. So can you get the link? How things are interlinked and intertwined. So best possible results can be achieved if the fiscal policy made is really good. And certainly there are economic objectives. Like our Prime Minister Modi has said, India will soon become a $5 trillion economy. Okay, that means more and more goods and services would be produced in India. If more and more goods and services are produced in India, will India achieve economic stability? Yes. Economic stability is a very important point for every government. If a government can achieve economic stability, which means the people in the country, they are all happy, they are all earning well, they are all living well, each and every person is employed in the economy. That means high employment. Nobody is sitting idle at the home. And we can see an accelerating economic growth. So, this is what the government wants. Fiscal policy is implemented by the government. See, making a policy is one thing, and getting it implemented is another thing. So, who is going to implement the policy? Of course, the government is going to implement the policy, as it involves the decisions that a government has to make regarding taxation, public expenditure, and government borrowing. Now, let's try to understand the objectives of fiscal policy. But these policies, they differ from country to country, because various countries have different levels of economic development. Let's say India is in a stage where we need to grow faster. The fiscal policies in developed countries are different from those in the underdeveloped countries. I hope you can totally relate to this. Developed countries means the fiscal policies of United States will not match the fiscal policies of India. In developed countries like America, what is the main objective? Their main objective is to maintain the economic stability. Please try to understand. But the main objective of India, since India is a developing country, India would aim to accelerate economic development. Let's develop more. America is in a state where already it has reached a level of saturation. They would like to maintain, they would not like to go down. Their worry is our GDP should not go down. भारत अब $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी होने वाला है. भारत ने इंग्लैंड को पीछे छोड़ दिया है भाइयों और बहनों. The output, the level of output in the country is rising, which means the GDP is rising, which means the national income is rising. So I hope, being a student of economics, you should relate to the real life situation as well. So the main objectives of fiscal policy are as follows. Can we say economic stability? Of course. Can we say one of the main objectives is to achieve full employment? Of course. Can we say economic growth? Country like India would be aiming to achieve more growth. Can we also say that price stability is very important? Of course. Can we say कि okay, the country is growing, but inequalities in income and wealth is also growing rapidly. The rich is becoming rich and the poor are becoming poor. No, we need to reduce the inequalities. Let's formulate the policies, the fiscal policies in such a way where we can successfully reduce inequalities in income. How do they do this? One method is progressive taxation. As your income progresses, you pay higher taxes. In this way, government is trying to reduce the inequalities. Attaining external equilibrium. So these are the 6 important points of the objectives of fiscal policies. And we continue again in great depth. But for today, I think we have started well. You know about fiscal policies. You know the objectives. Of course, we would do a detailed discussion. You know what is public finance. And you know the tools, the instruments. Let's go slow. Let's go steady. Ta-da, bye-bye.